So you're ready to begin living in Alaska. It's a dream for lots of folks, and you've been planning and you've been wondering. And I can tell you from my experience of moving up here, I'm a Southern boy transplant that calls Alaska home, this last frontier. A lot of redneck ingenuity, a lot of the redneck lifestyle fits up here. But even with that, it is so unique living in a place where the sunlight, the weather makes huge dramatic swings, and the wildlife is always literally at your doorstep. When I was coming up here, my daughter and I were talking, and I was telling her about some of my early experiences, and she said, Dad, living in Alaska, that's like the Australia of the United States. And she's not wrong, I don't think, in a lot of ways. Yes, there's a lot of things that are similar. We have moose, and the lower 48 has moose. We have bears, the lower 48 has bears. There's things that are things that we share, but there's a lot about Alaska that is unique because those animals, those creatures in Alaska, they own this place. You're not the top of the food chain, if you want to think about it that way. And literally, the bears, the moose, the creatures of Alaska will make their way to your front door, to your driveway, and you can see the pictures and connect with folks all along the way about what it is to live in Alaska and see how unique it can be. Now, as I've been exploring the changes that I've been making in my life, I've shared some videos here about the fact that I'm making an actual career change after moving to Alaska. There's a lot of things that I've got to share, things that I'm going to be bringing to the channel. But I want to start today by really delving into the big city of Anchorage. There's a lot of towns in the state, but Alaska is the largest state with the smallest population. We don't even have 1 million people that live up here, but most of them are living in the city of Anchorage. This is the most populated part of the state, right here in Anchorage, in the Anchorage borough. We have our Air Force Base, our military that's here. We've got the ports here where so many folks come in with cruises, but also where things get shipped in. Ted Stevens Airport is here, but it's also the largest float plane airport is here in Anchorage as well, along with so many other things that are important to the state. And as you kind of branch out from here, you get a chance to see the smaller towns heading to Girdwood, heading to the peninsula to Kenai and Soldotna, or going farther north into the inland area. You hit Wasilla and Palmer, on up to Willow, Talkeetna, then all the way up to Fairbanks, and then on into all of the villages that are so unique. And every aspect of Alaska is different. While the towns are towns, they're not big. This is really it. And then Fairbanks, our state capital isn't even in the largest city. Juneau, you can't even drive there. You have to fly, or you have to get there by boat. So it's a really unique dynamic. Because as someone living in Alaska, that's really where I've started, is in Anchorage, and have moved out from here into different places, on up into the Wasilla, Palmer, then Willow, Talkeetna. But also, when you live in Alaska, you're going down to the Kenai, you're going out fishing, you're going out hunting, you're going out exploring the wilderness and the wilds of Alaska, and it tends to always start right here in Anchorage. So I want to look at one of the great websites that I have found as a resource. There's really two. Niche.com is one of them, but also Nextdoor. That app, it gives you a great way to listen to your neighbors, to hear what's going on and the concerns of the community. And so those two places share a whole lot, and you get an idea of things. And so these aren't necessarily my opinions. As a realtor, I can't do any steering, but I can share with you what other people are saying about the city and what their feedback is about living in the city and those communities that are part and that make up the Anchorage area and beyond. So I'm going to be sharing some of those ideas. I'm going to be sharing some of those thoughts that my neighbors are sharing about living here in the city. So I want to start by looking at the city of Anchorage and the top 5 neighborhoods as voted on or reviewed by our neighbors here. This isn't my opinion. This is the opinions of folks that already live here. So you kind of see where Anchorage is if you're looking at the map. Right down here, I'm going to zoom in and give us a chance to look. We're getting right there. Hopefully I'm not making you too sick as we zoom in, and slowly you get a chance to see right here where Anchorage sets with everything, and see how the city runs from north to south is how we're looking right there. And over to the west, you'll see Turnagain with an A plus up there, which is the #1 highest rated subdivision on niche.com. We get a chance to look at here at Turnagain, #1 best neighborhood to live in Anchorage. That's out of 14 reviews, but it is in the downtown area. So you see that the nightlife is an A plus. A lot of stuff going on in that area. Any place downtown, that's where a lot of our great restaurants are, and a lot of the bars and clubs that we have in the city are down there. It's also a great place for families and those that are living down there. It's kind of an area that has shifted and changed along the way. Housing, it gets a B plus. The public schools are at the top, and the diversity is a great community. So looking at living there, just know you're also right nearby Ted Stevens International Airport. So you've got the airport to contend with down there as well. So we move. So now we're going to move from Turnagain over here to the South Edition, right over here where my little finger is setting it. Seems kind of funny that it's the South Edition when it's really in the north part of the city, but it is south of downtown. And so when we come up here, we'll click on that, and we'll get a chance to see the profile of the South Edition and how it's ranked as the #2 subdivision, and you'll see only 2 reviews there, so it's kind of maybe a misnomer. But public schools are at the top. Housing, it ranks as a B. It's good area for families. Again, nightlife is right there. You're even closer to downtown and have access to that, and there is a considerable amount of diversity. One of the things that in particular that I find in Anchorage is the diversity is incredible. And the closer you get to downtown into those areas, you're going to find all of the great restaurants in this city. I have eaten so many things I never imagined that I would be eating, and from all over the world. The culture here, Anchorage is a true melting pot, that we do have so many folks that are from not only the South Pacific, but of the Asian countries, and that from that part of the world that come in here, but also so many folks that even come from Eastern Europe, they come from Russia, as well as Scandinavia, and even from Canada, that make their way in here. So there's a huge diversity, and we actually have some great Mexican food up here. So thankful for all those folks from the Southern Hemisphere that seem to be making their way up here. So ranked #2 with not a whole lot of votes. I hope that folks will add to that as far as things go. So the South Edition. So just so you kind of know, though, right in the downtown area when you're talking about or hearing about the South Edition. If you're finding this helpful or would like to get some more content, make sure that you like and subscribe and whack that bell icon like we do salmon in the summertime. And that way you can stay up to date on everything that I have going on and the videos that I have coming out. All right, so up here where the South Edition is, where we've been looking at, we're going to move over to #3 on the list at Rogers Park. So Northern Lights Boulevard is one of the main thoroughfares that runs through really what is the Midtown area. You'll see Midtown specifically there, but Rogers Park is right over here. It's kind of one of the older areas of the city, but it's also one of those that is kind of going through some revitalization. A lot of the downtown areas of Anchorage and these older subdivisions up here are going through a period of that transition of folks kind of moving back in and actually getting younger, and because there's a lot of great parks down here, and a lot of great, wonderful green space that we have. So Rogers Park is #3 on the list. We'll look at Rogers Park and how the ratings come in there. That is, public schools go, it's a little bit lower. Housing at a B minus. It's a good area for families. Again, it's close with the nightlife things that are going on, and some diversity that is reflected there a little bit more than the South Edition. So, again, like I said, this is one of those areas that's kind of going through some changes along the way. We've got 10 reviews in on this one and talking about that. So gives us a little bit better idea, and overall grade that getting is an A. A lot of great coffee shops, a lot of great restaurants down here, not too far from the Midtown Mall, but also to shopping and things of that nature as well. We're going to be looking at number 4 and number 5 on the list, and we're going to be making a transition from Rogers Park. We're going to scoot right down here, down the Seward Highway. I don't want to move my map. All the way down to Rabbit Creek. We're looking at Rabbit Creek. Public schools down here are some of the top in the city. Housing is a B+, an area that is in high demand as well for families, but also middle-aged as well. A little bit older professionals in their careers. The housing is a little bit higher up in terms of pricing and opportunities. It's a good area for families, lots of families as far as that goes. The nightlife, it's more neighborhood events, things that are going on as far as that goes, and what's happening in your schools. There's not a whole lot of stuff particularly happening on the south side, though it seems to be increasing. We've gotten more restaurants down here, so a little bit more going on, a little bit more opportunities happening. We're not far here now from the Diamond Center and the mall there, which does offer indoor ice skating, the bowling alley, movie theater. It's our biggest, most active mall, and they're doing a lot more things as well. So that's important to realize. The diversity is a little bit less down here. Again, you're going to have diversity throughout the city of Anchorage, which is something that I find incredibly exciting and what makes this a really unique city. So we're going to move from Rabbit Creek down here on the south, just up the way, just a little bit, following the Seward Highway. That's the number 1 right here. That's our main running through the city. We're going to come up just a little bit, and we're going to hit the Huffman OMalley community and this part of the city. So it's just right up the road. It almost blends right together. You wouldn't necessarily know it. So Huffman intersects with the Seward Highway and is one of the newer areas, like I said, just right up from Rabbit Creek. And here you're going to find, again, some of the best public schools with an A- here. Housing, B+. Housing's good. It is just harder and more difficult to find housing in this part of the city, only because it is really demanded, and it is really kind of an area that people are looking to get into. It is, again, one of the great places, one of the great areas for families. A lot of the stuff happens in the public school system, very much like Rabbit Creek too. There's not a lot of nightlife. Again, the great part is we've got some great new restaurants that seem to be going in. I keep trying to explore the city. I love some of the restaurants that we have over here. As a Southern boy, I'll tell you that I'm going to give a plug to Southside Grill, which you'll have to track that one down a little bit, but that's as close as I've gotten to be able to enjoy Waffle House. So I said I was going to do 5, but I'm going to go ahead and throw in a number 6 because it's so close to the area, and it does kind of look at, the number 1 areas of the city. We're really right up here. Turnagain, review real quick, the South Edition and Rogers Park. And you'll see that actually some of the other areas up here, North Star, Spenard, and Airport Heights get some pretty high grades as well. We've got a lot of places that are really good to live in the city of Anchorage. I know some people are ready to get out. It's often joked around as called Los Anchorage. It's one of the jokes about living here, but there's a lot of places that are really like small communities, and the city is kind of divided that way. So I want to look at give you number 6 ranked area, which is the Midhill Side area. And when you are looking at places in Anchorage, this is number 6 on the list, our Midhill Side. Some things to look at here. The rankings, it gives it an A- in the public schools. Housing is a B plus. Again, it's really in demand, so it's hard to sometimes find a home up here. If this is really a subdivision you're looking for, when they come available, really kind of all of them, you got to really jump on them. It's a good area for families, a lot of young families that are up here. A lot of trails up in that area as well. There is some horseback riding trails that are in that area too. A lot of folks have horses. It's a little bit more rustic up there, kind of like a little bit of a blend of living outside the city and inside the city at the same time. There, it gives it a B minus in nightlife. That's pretty generous. There's not a lot of nightlife on Midhill Side, and the diversity is a little bit lower. But again, you're living in Anchorage, so really wherever you want to get to, you can as well. So as far as it relates to the city itself, this is number 6 on your list. So if living in Alaska is something that you're looking at, that's what I'm here to help with as a realtor here, as part of the Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Dream Makers team out of Wasilla. We're here to help you and make a home here for you. If you want to reach me, make sure you dial that phone number right there. You can call me or you can send an email. You'll find more information down below about that. And check out all the things that we've got going on within the state of Alaska. It's a great place to come. It's a great place to live and play, and there's opportunities galore that we'd love to have you come be a part of here. So make sure that you enhance life, enhance home, and enhance our world.